Welcome team. I am so excited because Isaac Butterfield, the Buttsmarn. This is very unique for my show, brother, because I've so far had businessmen, I've had head coaches, I've had world champion athletes, I've had all types.
And now you got the big gun.
But I haven't had the big gun, and I haven't had a comedian.
Okay.
So it might be all. Well, it won't be. Nothing's awkward for you, but I'm going to find the serious side of you because my podcast is about helping other people or inspiring other people. They're all usually people that are teachers, coaches, people that are aiming high in their own career, helping other people. So I'm not sure about the comedy stuff, but if you make us laugh, that's a bonus. But I want to go the serious side of you, mate, because it's a fascinating story. I was very privileged to be a part of the start of your career on that night, which we'll have to talk about. And I've followed your journey from afar. I was in London once and my son spotted you and said, Dad, that's the Buttsmarn.
That was strange,
Remember?
wasn't it? Yeah,
we were about to go on the London Eye.
London Eye, yeah.
Yeah, and I said to my son, what do you mean? That's my mate's son. Like, well, Dad, he's huge. And at that stage, I didn't realise, mate. I remember when you were starting out, I didn't realise how huge. And now, like, you don't get 1.8 million YouTube subscribers by not working hard. So I'd like to go there. I'd like to, nothing scripted here, mate, as you know, but I'd like to talk about your journey, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Where did it start? What made you think?
I always wanted to play footy.
Yeah, okay.
I wanted to follow in Dad's footsteps. That was my big thing. I always wanted to play footy, but I wasn't very good. Right. I was okay, but never made rep squads or anything like that. But I decided sort of around maybe high school or something that I wanted to be a comedian, and I had no idea how to do it. Because it's not like you go to university or you want to join the Coppers or the Ambos or whatever. You know, there's a structure in place for how you do it, or even with football. You know, you get rep squads, you go here, you join this, you do that, and then you make first grade. For comedy, there's nothing. There's no sort of structure put in place for how you do it. So I basically, throughout my childhood, sort of started to do, even in primary school, I'd host the talent quest, in year 4 and 5 and 6, I'd host it. So I was doing public speaking and all that type of stuff from a young age, cracking jokes and all that type of stuff. I remember I said something on stage at one of these shows, these talent quests in year 5, and I got a letter home for what I had said. I can't remember what I said at this point, but it was offensive, apparently. So I've always been a prick.
So that started back then?
Yeah. I always sort of pushed those sort of buttons or boundaries or whatever you want to call them. But it wasn't until I sort of started to see other comedians, people like Jim Jeffries, and I saw him, because in Australia, you see the Melbourne International Comedy Festival roadshow or the gala that goes on Channel 10. You see that quite a bit. And it's all clean comedy. You might get a few F's and C's, or not C's, but you get a few F's and S's and all that type of stuff. But you never get really offensive material. But that's what I found funny. I don't write clean stuff. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun for me. It's boring. It's something you'd tell in the office. How dull is that? I want to go to a comedy show and think, oh my God, the things I'm laughing at are horrible and outrageous, but I'm having a good time. Forget about all the problems in the world, and it doesn't matter what skin color you are or religion you are, you can all laugh together. I saw Jim Jeffries and I thought, okay, he does offensive comedy, so this must be a thing.
Right.
And then I was listening, I think it was after high school, maybe 2000. I finished high school in 2011, right? So I'm nearly 30. And basically it was a Joe Rogan episode with a bloke called Joey Diaz. And they were talking about how they started out in stand-up. They wrote 5 minutes of material, which takes a considerable amount of time, especially when you've never done it before. Now I can write 5 minutes of material. It might be good or bad, but I can do it in an afternoon and perform it that night.
Yeah.
This took me months, and you also get the courage up to do it. They then said, you just go and find an open mic night and you do it. So I found an open mic night and I went and did it. But the catalyst for that was I was diagnosed with this form of epilepsy disorder. It's not really epilepsy, but it's in the same family. It's just easier to say epilepsy. It's called paroxysmal dyskinesia. Epilepsy is a lot easier.
Yeah. I'll stick with epilepsy. Yeah.
But basically what happens is I lose control of my head and neck and I go blind in this eye. So when I was playing football, this was happening every now and then. So I'd have a hit up or I'd make a tackle and basically I'd lose control of my neck for like 10 seconds. I don't lose consciousness or anything.
Yeah.
There was a couple of times that happened at really shit moments too. I had a hit up over at Wall's End there one day off the kickoff and ran straight at this bloke, knocked him out, and I was, mad hero, legend, knocked him out cold.
Your dad would have been...
It was great, and because I'd been copping it from the hill at Wall's End there. Like, they hated me. And this was, this is open grade footy, everyone's blind drunk on a Saturday afternoon, giving it to me. I score a try, and then I have this hit up. So this is like a big thing. I've knocked him out, I stand up, and then I have one of these attacks. So I'm on the ground going, oh, fuck. At all moments, it had to be now. And other times, I think I shoulder charged, back when you could shoulder charge this bloke, and we got the ball back and scored, and it was a great moment. But I'm on the ground going, oh, fuck, here we go.
So you knew what it was, but to the people on that sideline, it would have been a bit of a worry? Or?
Well, it just looked like I went down hurt.
Yeah, okay.
You can't really see.
Gotcha.
But anyway, I got diagnosed with that. And the doctor I went to at the time said, oh, it could be this, it could be that. We didn't know what it was. He said, you could end up in a wheelchair in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got told that on my 21st birthday. And so that was pretty full on. And so basically it was a foot up the arse. It was like, okay, I need to do this now or it's not going to happen. So a couple of weeks later, I did my first set, did well. Had my ending joke was about, or my closer was about Ray Warren commentating porn. Yeah. That was my closer. It was for years. Yeah. And it did well. And then I just kept going and kept going and kept going to the point where I was doing shows in Sydney and all that type of stuff. And I was like, right, I'm not going to get picked up by one of these mainstream mobs. I need to make my own audience online. And I was with my wife, Claire, girlfriend at the time. And I basically said to her, listen, she gave me all the confidence in the world. She said, you can do this. You've got this, I need to start making videos. And I came up with this whole idea that there was no other option, there was no plan B, because without this, I'm just a pleb. I don't have a degree. I don't have any of those type of things or skills. Like I was good at like marketing and all that type of stuff, but I don't want to do that. Yeah. So I basically gave myself no other option. I said there's no plan B with this. It has to work. And that's something that I do everything with my life now. It's like you give yourself no out. Because if you give yourself no out, it's the same with my training and all that type of stuff. Like I taught myself how to run 10Ks. I thought I could never be able to run 10Ks. I just said, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do 2Ks for a week, then 4Ks for a week and build it up. And there's no stopping, there's no out. And then eventually I was doing 15Ks, on my head, easy.
Yeah.
And then just for a year, I did 3 videos a week on Facebook and YouTube. Never got much traction. A couple might get 10,000 views here or there. And one day, one video just popped off. And then I kept doing 3 videos a week. I've done that now for 4 years. And yeah.
Mate, there is so much gold in that 5 minutes that I've got to try to remember it to go back to. But things like even the support of your wife there.
Oh, yeah.
Like to have the backing of someone to go, yeah.
She's unbelievable with that. She believes in everything that I do.
That then just was... So again, every time I talk on this podcast, I'm thinking about how is this helping someone else? That there is huge. But even you started by you're a real beginner stage or apprentice stage of how hard it was to write 5 minutes of material. But you did that, and now... it's easier. There's little nuggets of gold in so much of what you just said that there's no wonder. Like I know your father and I know his work ethic and I know what he achieved, hundreds of games in the NRL and a legend status in that game. I mean, there's people that watch. There's a lot of rugby league listeners, but there's other people that aren't. But Tony Butterfield was a legend in a lot of people's eyes. I've been privileged to work with him and get to know him. And I can see there's that influence in you, like that hard work ethic and that drive. I don't know where the funny... Actually, I've had some funny moments with your dad, but there's a funny influence.
He's not a funny person.
He's not. I'm wondering where's the funny side comes from.
I don't know. He thinks he's funny. He tries to tell me how to write jokes. It's
the funniest thing he did to me was we were away on a camp working with a representative team and we went to a pub and I was trying to find him and ring him up. Where are you? He goes, if you want to see moves like Jagger, you come upstairs. So I went upstairs and he waited for me to pop my head up the stairs. So he jumped out on the dance floor and whatever. So I've had some great times with him, but I can see the work ethic in you from that's an influence. But where was your funny side influence, and what made you in year 5 do that controversial thing? Because now your comedy's pretty controversial, which obviously gets you so many views, and it's very deliberate. And plus you enjoy it. Where did that side come from? What was the influence?
I honestly think that because I was a fat kid, hard to make friends when you're a fat kid, so you have to develop a sense of humour.
Right.
And I think that's exactly where it came from. Had to develop a sense of humour to make friends. Me and one of my best mates in primary school, we were the two funny kids in the school. Same for high school, and that was it. You know, that's how we sort of. I don't know. And I've just always sort of been quick-witted and always said the most heinous shit at the most inappropriate of times, in a jovial way. Like there's a way to say it where you can get away with things. Like when I say something horrible on stage, I always say it with a big smile on my face. And when you are in a comedy room, you enter into a contract knowing that everything the person says on stage usually is not true at all. It's all pretend, you know. It's like when you go to the movies and watch an action movie. If you see, you know, Ryan Reynolds shoot someone, you don't go and blow up at Ryan Reynolds saying you're a murderer. Like it's not real. It's not pretend. It's pretend. It's not real. So it's the same with stand-up. But I don't know where the controversial side of things come from. I think it's just how people develop a sense of humour. But the old man, he's not controversial at all.
No.
Mum's not. My grandma and my grandfather are pretty funny people, but they're not that controversial. I think it's just you sort of develop it over time, really. But yeah, his work ethic, he's always been like, if he's got to do something, he'll do it until it is done. Like, I know when we were kids and whatever had to be done, if he was like clearing a backyard, whatever he was doing, he'd do it from 4 in the arvo to 3 in the morning if he had to get it done by the next day. Like he would just do it. Like he's out at Colton and Penrith, like, you know, rough part of the world. So I don't know how bad it is now, but I don't think it's as bad, but rough part of the world, like you fight for everything you have, sort of thing. And that's where he got that from. I don't have that sort of drive, I don't think. I think our drive is very different, but very similar at the same time.
Yeah, you can see the influence.
Yeah, definitely.
You can see the influence because you can't, as good as you are now, I dare say there's a lot of setbacks. And like even you mentioned before, like you started punching out a few videos a week and not getting much traction. And I dare say there was sometimes you were getting hammered by people because of the controversial. Did that ever affect you? Like, you know that it's not real, you know it's deliberate. Was there ever anything you did that, oh shit, should I have said that? Or like, or the what's the word? The politically correct people that are hammering you. Did it ever hurt you or not?
No. There's 2 pile-ons that really happen, I think, in any comedian's career. You get cancelled. I've been cancelled 3 or 4 times, whatever. The early pile-on is from the people around you, your mates. Right. You know, you start doing something that's abnormal and they bag you and they hate you and they carry on like that. Like, they're just like, no, this is stupid. Why would you do that? And you have to get past that. And that led me to leave a lot of people in the dust, you know? And I think that sort of... that breakup with those people is very important in people's career trajectory and personal trajectory as well, because if you don't leave them in the dust, then you're just hanging out with them. And misery loves company. I love that saying. It is so true. If people have, you know, painful lives, they don't like their missus, they don't like their kids, they want to drag you down. It's like with Claire being pregnant now. Everyone's, it's going to be terrible. You'll never sleep again. Yada, yada. Like, people just love dragging you down. Doesn't matter what happiness you have. Like, she's telling people about the baby with this beautiful smile on her face, and they're like, it's going to be terrible. You know what I mean? Like, and people do that with everything. Like, you're not going to make it as a comedian. You're not going to do this. Why were you trying? You're not a good footballer. You don't do. People bring you down.
Because for a lot of people, if you just said, like you say, there was no pathway, there was no education. If you said to someone, hey, I'm going to make a living from being a comedian, I dare say a lot of people said, mate, you got no chance.
You're not funny. That's what I got all the time.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's one thing to be funny around your mates at the pub, and then there's another thing about making 2,000 people laugh at a theatre.
Yeah.
It's a
your
very
right
different world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and particularly doing it for an hour. But that was a learning curve. I did my first hour. First time I ever did an hour on stage was in front of about 150 people in Sydney for my first show after I sort of, started getting a little bit of notoriety. Definitely the show wasn't ready or anything, but you got to do it, so you do it. You know what I mean? So it was interesting to leave those people, but the second and third and fourth time, people come for you, it's the cancellation. So there was a joke about Jewish people that I did in Melbourne, and it got a lot of heat. Even the Israel Times was talking about it. It was a big deal. And people say, you hate Jewish people. I've never met a Jewish person. Why would I hate them? I don't know anything about Jewish people. In Newcastle, there's very few Jews. I got no hate.
Yeah.
And then there was something about, there was the Christchurch massacre. I did a joke about that. A lot of people. I had 70,000 DMs. People,
wow.
70,000 in 24 hours too. Angry people, death threats. I'm going to kill you. I'll kill your wife. I'll skin your dogs. All this type of shit.
Yeah.
Mad stuff. There's been other ones since then, but I just capitalise on it.
Of course.
I just go, I put out a video, I sell merch, I sell tickets, and that's how I make money.
I love that story because, again, the type of listeners here is you've just delivered something there that just reminded me of my own son recently. He got me to buy this little boat. Bit of
Yeah.
Dad, if I buy this, I can do this, I can do that. So I just backed him a bit. Takes it down, this expert, 60, 70-year-old bloke who's fixed boat engines for the last 40 years, tells a 16-year-old kid, you've got more chance of winning the lotto than fixing this motor. Looks at me, Dad, you've been ripped off here, brother. You want to get your money back, or this is impossible to fix. So the young mind goes, I'll just go and teach himself. So he went on YouTube and he taught himself and he tinkered with it, and him and his mates, and they spent hours and hours and hours teaching himself. He's on that boat fishing every week now.
Is he?
And it inspires me as a dad that I've got a son who just went, no, I'm going to ignore that negativity. The same way you ignored people saying you'll never make it as a comedian. I've just walked in here, this studio is unbelievable, but I asked you some questions. You taught yourself how to edit. You taught yourself, you spent years and years and hours. Now you employ people to do that, but that's impressive.
But YouTube can teach you anything. That's the great thing about it, is I taught myself how to edit, how to use cameras, what camera to get, what sound equipment to get, microphones, color grading, sound mixing, everything.
Yeah.
And you can teach yourself that for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
And there are so many people that are going to uni to learn these marketing courses, and by the time you're finished, it's changed. You can learn, philosophy behind marketing and all that type of stuff, whatever. But by the time you finish university, it has completely shifted. And if you're not on the cutting edge, then you're just going to work at some dead-end job where you're never going to work through the ranks and all that type of stuff to be, the head of your game.
Yeah.
It's like being a doctor. You have to be on top of what the most current science is, or the most current social media, whatever is at that moment. Otherwise, you're falling behind.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to think of different things. So that's why I've got the podcast. I've got a second channel with my wife. I've got a second podcast with my wife. I put 3 videos out a week. We do Patreon stuff. We do. We're working on this gym series. It's called Average Man. Right? We're going to build a whole brand behind that, and the whole plan behind that is to get well-known people into the gym, go through their training methods and all that type of stuff, then provide the people, the public, a workout routine, diet plans, everything for free. So you have no excuse.
Yeah.
Because I want to get blokes back into the gym, get them strong, and get them away from dying at a young age. This idea that we have to accept a dad bod, that's fine. Drink your piss, have a good time. But you've got to be strong at the same time.
Genius.
You're
a genius, brother.
That's the whole point of that, is give it to them for free.
Let's go back to all the channels then. We might as well go there.
Sure.
Your wife, you got a channel with her. What do you talk about?
Well, we usually watch and react to videos, sort of like, for example, there was the video we're putting out this week or whenever it is about a bloke who's with this lady who's definitely a mail order bride, and we're just taking the piss out of him.
Right.
Yeah. And then it sort of takes a turn. It finds out he's got a really terminal illness, and then we feel like pricks. Anyway, we didn't know that at the time. But then we do the podcast, and it's just that podcast is more of a female audience because it has her in it. And they learn about the actual person that I am, not this character who's yelling and screaming and carrying on all the time.
I like that because even this, I mean, I don't have the 1.8 million subscribers, but people are seeing a side of you like the ultimate pro. Like you are a professional, brother. You're an artist. You're a professional. But it's blowing me away. I didn't even know about the channel with your wife. Then you've got your own podcast with a mate, I noticed. Yeah,
with Bluey and I, we do the Cancel Me Now podcast, which is great fun. We used to do it with guests, but it's so hard to get guests.
So hard.
So we're not in LA where there's 400,000 people trying to be on social media. So to get people to come up to Newey, and I'm a homebody because I'm away all the time doing shows. I hate leaving the house. I hate it. Like I've been all over the world, as you have as well, obviously. I love Newcastle. I love it. It beats New York. It beats LA. It beats London. I'm sorry, but Newcastle is where it's at. Particularly where I live. I moved 20 minutes out of the city, and I bought my house for the price of a fucking garage.
That's
and I'm more than happy out here. We do that. We do the gym show. I'm also working on a book at the moment as well, so I'm going to have that happening as well. And that's all about motivating young men, 18 to 30 or 35, to not just cruise through life at this point. Because
I love it,
mate. That's what I'm so pumped about for next year. So
now because this is what I'm feeling. Correct me if I'm wrong. You started trying to work out how I can be a comedian. You worked out the art of it, the hard work with it. But now you've gone to a point where how can I help other people? Like you help a lot of people by making them laugh. But now you're even going in a new world. Yeah. How can I help other people? Like. This is like endless where you're going with it.
This is what I hear from people all the time. I didn't kill myself because of your podcast or all these things. And it's weird to hear that, right? It's weird to hear that because you don't really know how to react. Yeah. But I also get really positive messages about, man, I lost 30 kilos after listening to your video about the keto diet. And I was 134 kilos when I finished playing footy. Yeah. And then 2 years later, I dropped down by eating a keto diet, low carb, high fat diet to 94.
Yeah, right.
So I dropped that. I'm about 104, 105 at the moment. But people hear that, they make, they just work on themselves.
That's great.
Because that's sort of like the full circle, as you said. Yeah. Make them laugh, help them, help themselves.
Well done, brother. Let's go to a couple of things around here, like this studio. Talk me through this on the wall.
That is a buffalo. That is it was a buffalo. It was shot in the Northern Territory by a friend of mine called Adam Greentree, who is one of the best bow hunters in the world. So he goes around, shoots things. He'd actually be a great guest for your podcast.
Yeah, right.
He lives in Newcastle. Absolute
I'd
top
love
bloke.
to.
Yeah. He's a very, very nice guy. And the only other one, so he's got two of those heads. The only other one that exists is in Joe Rogan's studio that he gave to Joe Rogan as well.
Yeah, right.
So I love that. I love everything on this table. It's... even from the military helmets that I have in the background, I've got a German, an American, and an Australian helmet from World War II. I did a sound check. The interview never went to air, but I did a sound check with Dr. Phil over a whole other thing that I was getting in trouble for. And the shot was sort of from this angle of the room back up against the Mona Buttsmarn, which is on the wall. Yeah. Another one of my very weird and wonderful things in here. And the only helmet that you could see was the German or Nazi helmet.
Right.
So I just looked like a bloke who had just had a Nazi helmet in his background.
Yeah.
So he goes, mate, you sure you want that helmet? And they're like, all right, yeah, probably should. I said, in context, there's three of them.
Yeah.
But there's, I'll just move that out of the way and I'll put the American one there. But that was scary. But
You've got some cool. So anyway, myself and you, we have something in common with Joe Rogan right now.
Okay, what are we
podcasting?
Yes, exactly. That's about it.
Maybe not to hundreds of millions,
but a few.
We have the same office decoration as Joe. I have the same hairstyle as Joe.
I'm going that way.
Talented as Joe.
Oh, thank you.
This here, I've just seen an old VHS. How good were they?
So I bought that from the op shop. How much was it? It's got the price tag on the back. How much did they sell that for back in the day?
Does that say, the Eyes Brothers, does that say $18 or $13?
That is $18.95. So I think it's 2001. So this was out in December 2001. Now, it's a weird VHS to have. It is about tap dogs, some tap dancing dudes. But on the topic of the old man, he actually assaults Sam Worthington in this movie, the guy out of Avatar, in a shed. He's like a bikie, and he's thug number 2 or something like that.
Because this was shot.
It was shot in Newcastle. There's a scene in a Knights game too.
Is there?
Yeah, but he had the boot because when he did it, he didn't get. I don't think he got paid. He might have got paid. No one near me would have got paid. But he had Bootman pajamas when I was growing up. These lime green, weird-looking pajamas. Oh yeah, he wore them for years.
Who cares that he played hundreds of games?
Don't worry about that.
Played State of Origin.
Bootman.
Won competitions.
One Bootman.
He was the most capped Newcastle Knight, your dad, for a while.
He was for a long period of time.
But his claim to fame is Bootman.
But it's his career was something that he doesn't really talk about too much. He talks about footy a lot, loves talking footy, but he very keeps to himself about that.
Yeah.
Which is good. I'm a bit more I'm a bit more up myself than my dad, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, we have to do it. We need to talk about people that backed you along the way. You said a lot of people that said, "Nah, this is impossible." But I saw a special moment between father-son. Yeah. We're in the City Origin camp. Your dad goes to the head coach, Brad Fittler, and says, "Mate, my son's starting out this comedy journey. Do you mind if he comes down and puts a show on for the boys?" So I was part of this conversation, and Brad Fittler is amazing in those camps. The first part of the week is all about bonding. So as you know, we have a drink together, but we start that day by training hard because you bond by doing that. We went and fed the homeless. I'm not sure if you
I was there.
We went and fed the homeless because that also bonds you, and also like we're a believer and you do good things for people, good things happen. So we've already trained really hard. We've gone and fed homeless people, and then it's drink time. So we then take the team to a pub. They get full of drink. Meanwhile, you're in the background going, "Oh, I've got to perform soon. I've got to be on soon."
Well, I thought I was going to be on at the pub.
At the pub.
That was I was under the impression.
Yeah.
And pubs aren't built for stand-up, but okay, that's fine.
You were willing to do.
I'm happy to do it.
How old were you, 21 at the time?
I would have been 21, 22.
This was your first
I drove down
stand-up.
after work.
You drove down after work?
Well, I had done a few gigs, but not many.
Yeah.
But I drove down after work, so, 3-hour drive or whatever
That's
it was.
Right. You meant to be on at the pub, but everyone's getting a little bit too much to drink, so management goes, "Right, we've got to get the boys home, or we'll go back to Coogee Bay." That's where I was staying. Go to another pub.
Yeah.
But when are we going to let Butsy's son jump on the mic? Like, how's this going to work? Just put him on the bus.
Yeah.
So we get on the bus from Woolloomooloo to Coogee, let's say 20, 30-minute drive. But you're on. Do you remember this?
I remember. It was horrible.
You get up, a bus full of drunks.
Yeah.
Who you get up and they're like straight away, "Get off."
Yeah, hammering me.
Get him off. And I remember looking, I was sitting at the front, you're right next to me in the corridor and your dad's there. And I remember looking at your dad going, "Is he going to get up here and give it to the boys about show some respect, my son's trying to have a go." And
yeah.
I really thought that was about to happen, but your dad just took a breath and, "No, let him go. And then, mate, my memory of it was then the boys heckle. And it got to a point, like this is a part where we don't usually go on my podcast, but got to a point where like, "Get your cock out." I
didn't know if you were going to tell this, but I thought that might have been a secret. But the chant goes, "Get your cock out, get your cock out." And I was like, all right, this I can do. I don't know why that was happening.
Why they said that.
But I was like, all right. Now, I'm in front of, Brad Fittler. I'm in front of you. I'm in front of my old man. On a bus. The microphone I'm holding is like half the size of a phone. It's a bus microphone.
That's right.
So I was like, yeah, all right. I think all I can do at this point is get my cock out.
Yeah.
And that was the move. I reefed my pants down. There was no warming up, so it was atrocious.
I remember this like yesterday.
Deplorable. I've tried to block it out, compartmentalised my trauma.
Yeah.
But, did it and got a massive cheer.
Yeah.
And then it was on.
It was on.
And that's all I had to do.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
Because I'm trying to think of some of the players in the background, but they were like, get off. And we're going, oh no, this is, and then cock out. And then it was like, the chant started.
Yeah.
Cock out, remember?
And if I don't do it, then it's over.
And then you went, and then it was like, and then you started your show. I forget what the jokes were, but
I don't know what it was, but they went well. And then I sort of started to attack players and yell back at players, and I was having a crack at some of the front rowers. And I think we got off the bus, and Blake Austin, who was playing probably 5'8" at the time,
That's right,
he said it was the best bus trip he's ever been
it
on.
was the best, mate.
Which was very, very, very nice to hear, because I was horrified.
They still talk about it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Still talk about that day.
Good.
If only we had a camera.
It would have been good to see. But this was like, there was some players on the bus that were recently in the news, and I was bringing that up and having a crack at them.
That's right,
and it was good. And I think it actually taught me a valuable lesson in hecklers, is to just go full attack mode. Because if someone yells, like and now, like I say the most horrible shit to people when they yell out during the show. Like just horrible things. But that's part of the contract too. If you're going to open your mouth up, if you're going to interrupt the show, it's on.
Yeah.
It's horrible things. But I think that's the only way to get people back on board. You have to destroy the heckler.
Yes.
Because if you let them win, then it's just awful, right? Then people walk away thinking you're the loser and all that type of stuff. So that was a very interesting bus trip, and I tell everyone that story.
Do you?
Because it is a really cool story. It was horrible in the moment.
Yeah.
But you think back on it and you think that was really cool. It was a really cool little learning curve for me.
Well, you mentioned learning, so you've obviously had a lot of learning since. That was a bus trip of 30 people. Where has your career gone with the live stuff? Because I know we've mentioned like your 1.8 million YouTube subscribers and growing fast, and your podcast and this and that. Like the social stuff's off the charts. Where's your live stuff gone? What's the biggest you've performed?
The biggest show I've done is 2,000 people.
Okay.
And I filmed a special that was, I'm not sure if it's on Amazon still, but it was on Amazon for a while. It's on YouTube too, at the Enmore in Sydney.
Right.
So I sold that out, which was just amazing because I'd seen so many comedy acts there in the past.
Yep.
The Civic Theatre here in Newcastle, it's like 1,500 people. In Perth, 4 weeks ago, I did back-to-back shows with almost 1,000 people in both shows. And man, it's just been mad. Like I've done, when I was over in London, when you were there, I was doing a UK tour, did shows over there, and I'd had like 500 people in London.
Wow.
It was mad. And they were all like, all English.
And do you enjoy that the most because you get the live stuff, or do you enjoy this stuff?
They're both very different.
Yeah.
Because here I love it because, I'm at home. I can go to the gym. I can hang out with the dogs and the missus, and that's all beautiful.
Yeah.
The live shows are fun. This year was a bit different because I had the same show for 3 years because of COVID.
Right.
So the tour lasted for 3 years. So I just wanted to get it done. I was just off it.
Yeah.
But the next tour I do, we're having a baby boy. I'm going to have my little man with us. He's going to be able to come along, and all those amazing things that I got to do with my dad, like go to the games, go out in the field, all that type of stuff. He's going to be able to do that with me. Go on the stage after the show and sit in big rounds. I'm so pumped about that.
That's so good.
I'm so pumped about that.
The first photo I looked at when I came in was you and your dad.
Yeah.
You in your Knights jersey. Your dad just finished playing.
I remember that stuff like it was yesterday. I was very, very, because I've got 4 other brothers who weren't around when he was playing. Jonas was born at the end of 2000. He was born at some point.
Yeah.
And he wasn't there when Dad was playing, and I was lucky enough. Like at the '97 grand final, best grand final of all time. Sorry, Cowboy fans. I was on the bus on the way home with all the players.
Yeah,
so
right.
it was a team bus full of Pierce and all this type of stuff. I was 4.
4 on that bus.
On that bus. The bus that goes through and the crowd and all that type of stuff. Man, that was, obviously I don't remember it, but
yeah.
I can remember getting to the stadium and getting into the car with my gran. But because they went to the stadium and then they went to the big party.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was off by then. But yeah, that was
I
mad.
think by the end of that bus trip, your dad would have gone, might be time for you to leave.
Oh,
son.
absolutely. I was shocked that I was on. I was like, what? Okay.
That's so good.
But the live shows are amazing. And
Yeah.
the great thing about the live shows is I get to meet everyone. So after the show, I do an hour and a bit on stage, and then I'll go and stand for 3 hours and get photos of everyone. 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on how big the crowd is, obviously. 2 or 3 hours, sign autographs, sell merch, like, all that type of stuff.
The people that you've attacked, the hecklers, they come and have a laugh, or does
Yeah, they love it.
Does anyone ever get like?
There's been a couple of people try to get up on stage and,
Have they?
well, I mean, one bloke wasn't in the show, but he turned up at the show trying to blue me.
Really?
And I was just like, yeah, mate, whatever. Other people have been pretty cool. I've only kicked 3 people out of shows in 4 years of doing big shows.
Yeah.
And every one of those was just someone who was just paralytic drunk, just being a nuisance for people. It's fine, like heckle, cool. But if you're pissing people off around you for the entire show, they pay their money, don't ruin it for other people. Other than that, go for your life. But yeah, it's the live shows are great. And meeting people's cool and doing all that type of stuff. What else do we do? We also do these paranormal investigations. We do ghost hunts. Yeah,
Right.
we've hunted for big the yowies in outback Queensland.
I haven't seen this.
It's real. We made them
right.
to try and sell them to streaming companies.
right.
So they're all like TV quality. But yeah, we've done like all these ghost investigations and stuff. And I had a paranormal experience on camera. I had a whisper in my ear.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, it was cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so we do all
You're doing
different
all
types of
sorts.
things. We even
And the
sell
merchandise. You sell heaps of merchandise. too.
Yeah.
Because
The
I watched
shirts.
one last night. Well, obviously I know I'm coming here today. I watched one of your YouTube. Just quickly, I didn't get through the whole lot. It's one of your live ones.
Sure.
Where people are writing to you and you're like selling stuff as you're talking and
Oh, yeah.
ringing people up. And
Yeah, we used to do these giveaways where we'd give
Yeah.
away like $5,000 and we'd do this and do that and all that type of stuff. There's actually some merch behind you that I didn't put here for the interview, but there's a merch on that chair behind you right there that we're doing for babies. So you know how I've got a saying, "Me dick stinks."
But still.
My butt stinks, right?
Yes. Well, you didn't do that deliberate, but we might as well.
Might as well put it there.
Because your merchandise is going off, right?
Oh, mate, it's like we do more sales than a shopping centre. Like it's crazy.
Wow. So
Yeah.
I don't need to know about your income and that, but I think it feels like the current day in your industry, like the old days may have been people rely on selling out shows. You've got all different income streams going on, it seems. You've got your merchandise, you've got your live show, you've got this, you've got that. You're a genius, brother.
Well, I have to have everything going because and this is how I always think about it, and I think about it with footballers and sports people as well. You don't know if your career is going to last another 10 days or 10 years, and that's how I always look at this.
Yeah.
You have to make your money while the going's good, otherwise you're going to look back and go, I should have done that. Like I had a brand deal years ago with Burger King. They offered me $10,000.
Yeah.
Or Hungry Jack's it is in Australia.
Yeah.
They offered me $10,000 to be in this ad, and I said, no, I want more. And they offered me 12, and I was like, oh, is it a good idea for me personally to be in this ad? Is this going to affect my career? What a dickhead move. Take the money, mate.
Yeah.
Now I look at that and I go, okay, I probably wouldn't do it for 10, but
No.
I'd ask a little bit more. I think I could maybe get a little bit more. But, mate, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll sell anything. I don't give a
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people and sports people, and oh no, this doesn't work.
Doesn't work for me.
Shut up,
yeah.
mate. Take the cash, look after your kids, and
You got to look after your kids. But this is genius because they reckon anything to do with births or marriages
Yep,
or
that's it.
deaths
Yep.
is the big bucks.
Oh, I know.
So
I just
you've
got
come up
married.
with
Jesus
that. You just got
Christ.
married.
Man, it's crazy how much bloody weddings
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, when COVID happened, I couldn't rely on live shows for income. So I had to sort of think of another way.
Get
And merchandise
creative,
was
yeah.
it. Because everyone was at home too. They were like, okay, I want to buy something, I want to do something. So we did these big merch drops and we're selling all these clothes. Like, I don't even know the numbers on it, but it's not crazy like some YouTubers who make $10 million in a drop. That
Yeah.
certainly wasn't me, but it was pretty incredible.
But it's getting that way.
It's good.
Because what I watched, first of all, when I knew I was coming, I quickly had a look. It's like Yeah, so when I feel like I know you through your father, but I didn't know all the things you were doing. I knew my son followed you. And then I looked last night, I was like, my God, like you're getting more views than a rugby league game on free-to-air TV.
Yeah. Yeah. There's big, it's big numbers.
You know?
And not every video is like that.
And you're selling stuff live and you've got stuff going on, like 1.8 million subscribers, and I dare say next time I come back next year it's probably double, triple that, the way that industry
It grows.
seems
It
to
definitely
grow.
grows.
Like you have more pull than the NRL does viewers each week. Like,
Well, someone told me this the other day. I have more followers on Instagram than any rugby league player in Australia.
yeah,
So I'm better than
Yeah.
all of you.
you got
Hello.
that. But it's fascinating because even look at the way sports go and the entertainment go. Look at the boxing. Like, I want to see you have a fight.
Yeah.
I want to see you get in the boxing ring
Yeah.
because you have more, like, look at, I've worked with boxers, world-class boxers, and people that strive and work hard for all these, but now someone turns up with 1.8 million subscribers and you could earn more money than that boxer who's just trained for 20 years.
You look at like Jake Paul, people like that. Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
And they're getting as many pay-per-views as Tyson used to
Yeah.
get. You know,
Mate,
like
if the money's right, I'd do it.
can I be your promoter?
Mate, I got knocked out playing footy for free.
Let's do
Let's
it.
go.
This is a first. This
Please.
is a first.
I'll do it.
Who should we call out?
All right, let's call out just someone small that I could
Start
probably
with.
take. Maybe like Josh Papali or.
Oh, okay.
No, I've done a bit of boxing in my past, but I cannot fight. But we'll see how we go.
No, I reckon I think you would have a bit of that in you. The way you've grown up, the way. There's a famous story. I know a guy that debuted in the front row against your father, and he said he just copped a headbutt from your dad, like straight away.
But he's like that, man. We played together. One game we played together up at East Maitland. It was Dudley playing East Maitland, and we packed into the front row together.
Yeah.
And he must have been 49, 50 at the time. He's just hard, man. Like just headbutting, running in, just.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you doing?
But then you played in the front row. I am positive we put you up against someone. I can't believe how far this is going to go, Aaron. It's your job to follow this up. We need to call out a boxer. Seriously.
Boxer?
Mate, no, not a good boxer. Like, you need Logan Paul, what he's doing.
Like Paul Gallen, someone a bit not too good.
You take on Paul Gallen. So Paul Gallen became the biggest pay-per-view boxer in Australia for a long time now. Purely because of his following from rugby league. You just said it. You have more following than rugby league players.
Yeah.
So if Paul Gallen, who's earned more in boxing in a couple of years than he ever did in his rugby league career,
very true.
It seems like you're willing to do anything. Jump in, brother.
Yeah, but the epilepsy thing worries me.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, that's it. That's probably what the only thing that stopped me.
Not being able to see out of one eye. Yeah.
That's a problem. I mean,
that's a problem.
I have thought about it for a long
idea.
period.
It was a good idea.
Cancel me now.
I'll put an eye patch on.
Cancel me now. I saw you call out and say that you could beat any female rugby league player.
Oh,
Let's
please.
even the playing field. You call out a female footy player.
I will beat up any female rugby league player. No, we're talking about how would I go against the female rugby league team? And I said
Well, you would, yeah. Although I
They're
did
good.
listen to that because
They
Aaron
are very
sent it
good.
to me. Aaron sent it to me. I listened to it on the way. Who did you talk about?
Millie Boyle.
Millie, mate. I'm worried she would beat your brother.
No, mate. I've been thinking about it, and I've looked into Millie.
Mate,
I'm
Millie.
coming for you, Millie.
Millie. I had a little bit to do with Millie.
Yeah.
At the start of this year. My God.
She's a gun?
Gun athlete, gun person, gun leader.
Yeah.
Oh my God. She is what every elite team, male or female, need. Like,
I tell you what, the NRLW
she's so good.
is leaps and bounds ahead of the AFLW. Like they're such a great sport to the female version of sport, such a great sport to watch.
Yeah.
Like they are great footballers. And this is what I love about and I think the NRL could do this better, I think the AFL could do this better. The UFC, they never made it about, these are the females coming in. They just went, no, this is obviously the female division.
Yeah.
put it in.
Put it in.
They prove themselves. And I think that's what the Knights team did this year in the NRLW. It wasn't about that they were chicks or they were, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
They were just good footballers and they did it.
Yeah.
And, obviously me talking shit about Millie Boyle is a bit of tongue-in-cheek.
Of course.
But, I could beat her in a fight. But I do think...
Maybe there's the fight.
That's the fight, yeah. Jeez, imagine if I get tagged up.
That's the fight. Because I don't want her to do rugby league against you because... Yes, mate, she's good. I know you were good, but...
I was not good.
But maybe there's the fight. Yeah.
Bit of jiu-jitsu.
I tell you what, it'd go to a lot of viewers. It'd go to more viewers than any other fight. That's
Well,
what I mean.
some people call me a misogynist, so it'd probably play into that role, wouldn't it? Me fighting a woman. Jesus.
Okay.
But
have you done sparring though?
Yeah. I've also done sparring in... The craziest sparring I've done is as a knight. So I wore full knight's armour.
Yeah.
And they use real swords and axes.
Yeah.
And... What? I'll show you. Have you never... Mate, I'm telling you, you gotta check out the old YouTube channel.
Mate, I will. I should have been more prepared. But I felt like... It was really weird. I felt like I knew you, that we could just chat without... Like we have,
I've done a little bit of sparring with... there's a bloke by the name of John Wayne Parr. I've done a bit of sparring with him, but he beat the shit out of me. He was... But he was only mucking around sort of things. We did this medieval knight fighting. So I think that's actually John Wayne Parr there who just got pushed over. But I think that's me or something like that. But these guys, there's me there. So that's me swinging that sword. It's crazy. And they just smash the out of each other. It's insane. You cop these big, giant axes. They buy axes from Bunnings and they just blunt them.
Yeah.
And just whack shit out of people.
Mate, well, if you were willing to do that, we need to get you in a fight.
I think I'd be all right. I think I'd live. That's
Yeah.
that's the most important thing at the end of the day.
Well, there's the challenge. If I can follow you up, but you're very busy, so I'm not sure how.
Busy
this will
man,
go.
and I don't
I'm not
want to
sure
have
how
any
this
more
will go.
brain damage.
I'm not sure
I think
how
I've
this
been
will
knocked
go.
out enough, to be honest.
But mate, I've loved chatting to you. You know what I've loved? A little bit of humour there, but I didn't want to. I'm not a comedian. I didn't even know if I was going to bring the cock out story.
I'm glad you did, because I didn't want to leave it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it made it in.
But I wanted to know the serious side of you. You're a great bloke who there is a soft side of you.
Thanks, mate.
And there's people see what they see, but that's very deliberate, obviously.
Yes,
You're an
yes.
artist, you're an expert at what you do. Thanks for having us in your studio. Awesome studio. Thanks to your wife for looking after us as well, mate. Such a pleasure to catch up with you and say hello to your old man. I love him. Good man. But yeah, thanks again, brother.
You're very welcome. And where do people find this fine podcast? Is it on iTunes? Is it on Spotify? Where is it?
Yeah, it's on all the podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, and we've just started with the YouTube. Knowles?
Ladies and gentlemen, go and check out Get the Edge with Hayden Knowles on Spotify, iTunes. Get it on YouTube. It's probably on Instagram, might even be on Snapchat as well. We'll be back next week with a very exciting interview with
Ivan Cleary.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ivan Cleary next week. Make sure you check it out. If you don't, you are a shameful person.